Williams is not what Coach K was back then. Roy Williams has been there, done that, sent out the postcards, has all the magnets on his fridge to show for it. He's done a lot of winning throughout his career, national championships, Final Fours, conference titles, all that. So we're just at a place in this rivalry where both programs are in a great spot, but also we've got two head coaches where they're comfortable in their own skin and what they've done throughout their careers. And before, it was kind of that dynamic of the up-and-comer versus the stalwart in the establishment in Dean versus Coach K. Now you got two guys that are kind of playing that role.
Hey, let's not forget, Roy Williams has one of, if not the best winning percentage in the country today. Maybe Mark Few, somebody like that's a little bit ahead of him, but Roy Williams is, in his head coaching tenure, has won virtually 80%. 80% as Seth Greenberg walks in and sits down beside me. I mean, my goodness, Roy Williams has won almost 80% of his games. Did you win 80% of your games with Seth?
If I won 80% of my games, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. I mean, that's pretty good, huh?
You'd be counting your money?
I'd be counting Benjamins.
Seth Greenberg stopping by, of course, former Hokies head coach. You see him on ESPN, and he just said, SportsCenter, get the heck out of here. I got to make room to talk to Coach Odom. He's with us right now on College Sports Now. Coach, can you speak about that? Like we've been discussing throughout the show. I just find it really interesting, and I know being in this area in North Carolina, I get a lot of fans every day who tell me, hey, I wish that these two coaches hated each other more. I wish they weren't so amicable with one another. But I think it's a byproduct of two coaches who are really comfortable with where they are in their careers, their age, and their accomplishments. And it's just different now than what you had before with Dean and Coach K when you go back 20, 30 years ago.
I think it's a mutual respect thing. I mean, they've kind of gone through this together, and I think there's a tremendous amount of respect between them of what each program has been able to maintain and build, and understanding how hard it is to maintain and keep it where it was. And, I think that, they define college basketball. If you think about this game, G. David, and you've been in this league for 100 years. People say, has this game lost its luster? Because maybe, Duke's got all these freshman guys, and 5 minutes into the game, they'll understand what Duke, North Carolina is about. But this is not a regional rivalry. This is a national rivalry. This is a game that defines our sport twice a year and maybe 3 times a year in the ACC tournament. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I would. Going back to the hate thing, I do think there's some hate there. I don't think Mike Krzyzewski hates Roy the person. I think he hates maybe
competing.
Yeah, he hates what he represents. I think the same is true the opposite way. Roy doesn't hate Mike, but he hates Duke. And, so there's some sort of hate there.
Hate's kind of a bad word.
Well, probably so, but I think it
is. You're a Southern gentleman. I can't believe you used the word hate.
I don't hate, but I think they do. I think
they're so competitive. I mean, like everyone looks at Roy and down deep, he's fiercely competitive. And obviously we know how competitive Coach K is, and I think when you get two competitive people that are trying to arrive at the same destination, I think it makes both of them better. I think that, Duke makes Carolina better, Carolina makes Duke better, but they do it totally differently. I mean, I really think about it. Like flying in today, I came in from Miami, and the plane was full with Duke people because they come from all over. I mean, like, people fly in for games to Duke. They're not like right here in Raleigh, Durham as much. Carolina, on the other hand, I think Carolina represents this region a little bit differently.
They come out of the back of fields to get into this.
It's their school, it's their state. I think there's a different relationship between the community and Carolina and the community in Duke. Am I right? I mean,
no, you're exactly right. Let's talk about the game itself.
That's
tonight.
Always a good thing.
The game. There is a game. Let's talk about the game between the lines tonight. You're Roy Williams. You're sitting on the other bench. Once you get past all the noise, the first 5 minutes of the game, what do you feel is likely to tilt the game in your favor if you can manipulate it? I mean, what are you looking for? What advantage do you think you've got?
I think a couple things. Well, I think you have a number of advantages. Obviously, you want to get paint touches and you want to pound the glass because you have a huge advantage in those two areas, especially if you look at what Duke's doing defensively in the paint. They're giving up 33 points a game in the paint, which is the most of any Power 5 conference. Yet Carolina scores over 40 points in the paint. So if you put those two together, obviously not very good for Duke. So
But
you're going to
is
try
that-
to pound that thing right into, whether it's in transition and early post-ups, paint touches off the bounce, whether it's out of some of your box sets or out of motion. You're going to try to get the ball close to the basket. Obviously, you want to get it in position where you can offensive rebound it. I think that's a huge advantage. I think that defensively, I think what Roy's got to do is they got to do a good job in defensive transition. They got to locate Grayson Allen and Kennard in defensive transition. They got to run those guys off the three-point line because I don't think Duke can beat Carolina shooting twos. They can beat them shooting threes.
We haven't seen the real Harry Giles and the Tatums and the Boldens over a period of time.
What are they?
Yeah.
Who are they? I mean, like here's like we've heard all about Harry Giles. He hadn't played 412 days. So I mean, who is he? Because we say he's great, but we haven't seen great. All right, Marquise Bolden, top 10 guy in ESPN top 100. Right, the game. I think this game's too fast for him tonight. This game today, too fast for him. How's he going to guard ball screens? How's he going to get back in transition? How's he going to run the floor with the bigs, even Tony Bradley, the bigs of Carolina? I think Giles is the guy that, if they're going to try to go bigger, to me, Giles is the guy that's going to have to play today. Does that make sense?
No, it does. And, I was going to mention, you've really got four post guys that Roy really expertly rolls through the the system each night. You got Bradley, you got Luke May,
good.
You got Hicks. Yeah, he's really improved, and certainly Meeks, who also has improved.
Better condition.
So he's going to keep trying to play that card as you go on. But if Bolden's not ready, if Tatum's not ready, then you got to go right back to Emile Jefferson and
well, Tatum will play 4, but here's the thing: Tatum at 4, which is his best position. Look, we've all coached against Mike. Mike would rather play a 3 guy at 4. I mean, whether push comes to shove, he wants a more skilled guy. It's a matchup in his favor. Can Tatum rebound from the 4 spot against Duke? Can he post defend against Isaiah Hicks? Can he post defend when Bradley and Meeks are playing together? So if you say, well, he can't, then all of a sudden